It's the Daily Doug.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Daily Doug. Thanks for being with me today. My friends, today is a Monday. That means it's a Metal Monday, and who better to turn to on a Metal Monday than our friends in Black Sabbath? We are listening to some music from Black Sabbath today, and you know, the last time that we heard from Black Sabbath here on the channel, it was back in August. And I remember we were celebrating the 50th anniversary of their album Sabotage. On that particular occasion, we heard side 1 and side 2. And my friends, I had not heard any of those songs from Sabotage before doing those 2 episodes. And I got to tell you, I've gone back and listened to it a few times. It's a great album. Sabotage is really, really wonderful. So I was wanting to get back to Black Sabbath here on the channel, and I thought that we should include a reaction that I filmed all the way back in May of this year. It was for our Patreon, our Metal May Fan Favorites Countdown. We have excerpted several pieces from that original countdown here on YouTube, and I need to share with y'all the Mob Rules from Black Sabbath. This is from their 1981 album of the same name, but we're not listening to the track off of the album. We're listening to an alternate take of it that was included on a movie soundtrack, an animated movie called Heavy Metal. How about that? So I am happy to share with you what went down back in May when I tuned into some Black Sabbath led by Ronnie James Dio. They're singing the Mob Rules, and I'm happy to share that with y'all now. So, next up is a song by Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath is making an appearance on the channel, and this one comes to us from Ray. Thank you, Ray. And Ray says, I may not understand much about metal, but I know a thing or two about boogie, and this song has it in spades. With Tommy Iommi's heavy guitar riff and Ronnie James Dio's primal screaming, the Mob Rules grabs you immediately and never lets go. I challenge anyone not to move to this music. It's impossible. Well, y'all want to see me move, so I'm gonna not try to meet Ray's dare. I'm just gonna act normal, okay? Then he says, the lyrics, as I understand them, are about a mob overthrowing the ruler of their land, presumably because he oppressed and abused the people. But will this mob restore peace or just impose another kind of tyranny? All that's clear is that a violent conflict has begun. And with Black Sabbath's heavy rock, the revolution becomes a celebration. All that fury is channeled into an anthem, and whether you want to charge into battle or just get up and dance is up to you. I think I'll chair dance, Ray, for this one. 2 versions of the song were released back in 1981. One version appeared on the band's Mob Rules album. The other, apparently recorded earlier, appeared on the soundtrack for the movie Heavy Metal. The album version is good, but the soundtrack version, with more low end in the instruments and a more raw and thunderous sound overall, is just more fun. So that's the one that I've picked. Okay, so Ray is going with the Mob Rules from Black Sabbath from the Heavy Metal soundtrack. And in addition to being included on the Heavy Metal soundtrack, the song also was, as he alluded to, the title track and the lead single of the band's 10th studio album, which was released in late 1981. So we've got Ronnie James Dio here on vocals. I believe this is the second album that Black Sabbath released with Ronnie James Dio as vocalist. Tony Iommi is on the guitars, Geezer Butler is on the bass, and Vinny Appice is on the drums. This is the Heavy Metal soundtrack version of the Mob Rules from Black Sabbath. Here we go. All right. Announcing his presence with authority. That's A flat. Up to 5. Roll it all. Just a 4, 7, 1. Lose your hold of the flame. I love Ronnie's voice, y'all. Moves up to the E flat, the 5. D flat. It stays. Let's call it C sharp. Nice. So they're in C sharp now. There's the A, B, so just a flat 6, flat 7, may, re, do, on the way back down. Man, Tommy is just the riff master, isn't he? You're all fools. Just a driving song, y'all. Four, 7. Fade out. Looks like it. Sounds like it. That is a heavy metal song, y'all. Thank you, Ray, for that one. I found a quote from Ronnie about this one, and he says, "We wrote this song for the motion picture, Heavy Metal, a groundbreaking animated film. I was the only one in the band to see a prototype of the film, and I got it instantly. They wanted a song for a sequence where these people living in a walled city are about to be attacked by barbarians. It was real science fiction, which I love. And the characters had horns coming out of their heads and all this evil imagery. So I came up with the title, The Mob Rules. And Tony and I wrote the song. We recorded it in a house in Ascot, England, owned by Ringo Starr at the time. There was a studio in the basement. We spent 3 days there. It was an awesome experience, and the song turned out to be a blockbuster for us." Well, that's the first time I had heard it, and it definitely is a blockbuster, if you ask me. That was cool, y'all. Yeah, verse 2, "Kill the spirit and you'll be blinded. The end is always the same. Play with fire, you'll burn your fingers and lose your hold of the flame." And then it goes into the chorus. It's over, it's done, the end is begun. If you listen to fools, the mob rules. As I continue to make my way through the discography of Black Sabbath, it seems that this era was kind of a continual turning point for the band. As we recall, Ozzy departed the band in 1979, and the very next year they released Heaven and Hell, 1980, with Ronnie James Dio as their new vocalist. And then Bill Ward departs the band, and Vinny Appice joins during the Heaven and Hell tour. And then The Mob Rules, which is the second album with Ronnie James Dio, becomes the first album that they recorded with Vinny as their new drummer. And then, meanwhile, this would be the last album. The Mob Rules would be the last album with Ronnie James Dio singing for several years. They would reconvene in, I think, 1992 for the album Dehumanizer. But after this album, Ronnie embarked on some solo projects. The Mob Rules came out in late 1981, and by May of 1983, Ronnie was out with Holy Diver before Black Sabbath would come out with their next album, which was called Born Again, and the person they had singing on that album was Ian Gillan, formerly of Deep Purple. I don't think I've heard anything from that album with Ian Gillan singing, so even though we have heard quite a bit of music from Black Sabbath over the years and from Ronnie James Dio here on the channel, there's still quite a bit more from these musicians for me to discover, my friends. I recognize that there's more, and I'm excited about getting to it, but that is going to be saved for another time, my friends. That is going to be all for me today on this Metal Monday. I thank you very much for hanging out with me as we've been listening to some great tunes by Black Sabbath. Thanks y'all for being with me. We'll see you next time on another edition of The Daily Doug.